Alma had always prided herself on her independence. As a single mother in the heart of bustling Accra, she had created a life for herself and her 8-year-old daughter, Essie, through grit and determination. By day, she worked as a fashion designer, creating stunning pieces that brought African heritage to life. By night, she transformed into a devoted mother, pouring her love into Easy, who was the center of her world. Her days were long and demanding, and there were nights when exhaustion weighed her down. But the joy in Easy's laughter made it all worth it. Amma had managed to juggle rent, groceries, school fees, and utilities, ensuring Easy never felt the absence of a father. When Amma met Darius at a friend's wedding, he seemed like a dream come true. He was charming, attentive, and funny. Over long conversations and walks in the city, he told her about his plans for the future, a business idea he was working on, and his desire to settle down with a family. Though Darius was between jobs, Amma saw potential in him. His charisma and easygoing nature brought warmth and laughter into her home, something she hadn't felt in a long time. Essie was cautious around him at first, but Darius made an effort to bond with her, even bringing her small gifts. 6 months later, when Darius asked Amma to marry him, she said yes, envisioning a better future for her daughter with a father figure by her side. Soon after the wedding, Darius moved in, and Amma began to carry not only her own burdens, but his as well. Amma hoped Darius would contribute to the household, but reality quickly sank in. While Amma woke up before dawn to prepare Isi's breakfast and get her to school before heading to work, Darius remained in bed. He spent his days lounging on the couch, his feet propped up on the coffee table, flipping through TV channels. Amma reasoned that Darius needed time to find his footing. He had mentioned business plans that hadn't worked out and said he was applying for jobs. "Things will get better," she told herself. "I just need to be patient." She did everything to make him comfortable, cooking his favorite meals, making sure the house was spotless, and handling all the bills. At first, she even found joy in it, believing she was nurturing her family. But as weeks turned into months, it became clear that Darius wasn't looking for work. He wasn't even trying. One evening, Amma came home to find the sink piled high with dirty dishes. The trash hadn't been taken out, and Essie was struggling with her homework alone. Darius, as usual, was watching football. "Darius," she began, her voice calm but tense. "Can you at least help out around the house? I'm doing everything, and it's exhausting." Darius didn't even look away from the screen. "You're better at those things, Amma. Besides, you're always talking about how strong and independent you are. You've got this." Amma felt a sharp pang in her chest, but said nothing. She couldn't argue with a man who didn't care to listen. One evening, as Amma prepared dinner after a grueling day at work, Darius approached her with a serious expression. "Amma," he said, "I've been thinking. I don't feel like a man in this house." Amma paused, startled. "What do you mean?" "You handle everything, money, bills, groceries. It's emasculating. How can I feel like the head of this housey when you're in charge of all the finances?" "But Darius," Amma began, trying to reason, "I am the only one working right now. It's just practical." He shook his head. "No, it's not right. Look, I've been thinking. Why don't you give me your paycheck when you get paid? I'll handle the money from now on. Pay the bills, buy the groceries, and take care of the household. That way, I can feel like a man again." Amma hesitated. The request didn't sit well with her, but Darius's tone carried a mix of frustration and vulnerability that made her falter. She wanted to support him, to help him feel confident and valued. Against her better judgment, she agreed. From that month onward, Amma handed her paycheck to Darius. She trusted him to handle their household finances, relieved to take one thing off her plate. But cracks began to appear almost immediately. "Mama, my teacher said you didn't pay for my lunch this month," Essie said one evening, her voice hesitant. Amma frowned. "That can't be right. I gave Uncle Darius the money to handle everything." "She says I can't eat at school until it's paid," Essie whispered. Amma's heart sank. "Don't worry, baby," she said, stroking Essie's hair. "I'll sort it out." Amma confronted Darius that night. "Essie's school is saying her lunch fees aren't paid. What's going on?" Darius waved her off, barely looking up from his phone. "I forgot. I'll handle it tomorrow." But tomorrow came and went, and nothing changed. The pantry was often half empty, the electricity was disconnected twice, and Essie complained of having plain bread for lunch. Yet Darius always seemed to have money for himself. New sneakers, nights out with friends, and endless data for his phone. One evening, Amma came home earlier than expected. The house was in disarray. Dirty dishes cluttered the table, the trash bin overflowed, and Darius sat on the couch, his feet propped up, watching TV. The sight of him so at ease while the house was in shambles sent a pang of irritation through Amma. But her frustration turned to panic when she heard soft sobs coming from Esie's room. Rushing in, she found Esie sitting on the floor, clutching her stomach. "What's wrong, baby?" Amma asked, her voice trembling. "I'm hungry, Mama," Essie whispered, tears streaming down her face. "Uncle Darius said I couldn't eat until you came back." Amma felt a surge of rage unlike anything she'd ever experienced. Leaving Esie's room, she stormed into the living room. "Darius!" she yelled. "What is wrong with you? Esie says you didn't feed her. Is that true?" Darius shrugged, his eyes still fixed on the TV. "She's old enough to wait. You spoil her too much." Amma's fury erupted. "Are you serious right now? You've been sitting here all day doing nothing while my child is starving?" Darius stood, his demeanor shifting to irritation. "I'm not her servant," he snapped. "You wanted a man in this house, not a babysitter." Amma couldn't hold back anymore. "A man?" she screamed. "You think this is what a man looks like? Sitting here all day, spending my money while my daughter goes hungry? I have cooked for you, cleaned for you, treated you like a king, and this is how you repay me?" Darius sneered. "You don't respect me. That's the problem. No wonder no man stayed with you before me." Amma froze, her fury replaced with a cold realization. This man, who she had loved and trusted, had never respected her. She pointed to the door. "Get out," Darius scoffed. "You'll regret this, Amma. No man will ever want you after this." "I'd rather be alone than live with someone who hurts my child and takes me for granted. Get out!" Amma's voice trembled with fury as she pointed to the door. "Get out," she said firmly. "I don't want to see you in this house again." But Darius didn't flinch. Instead, he leaned back on the couch, a smug smile curling across his lips. "Get out?" he repeated mockingly. "Amma, you must have forgotten something important. This house, the money, your accounts, they're all mine now." Amma's heart skipped a beat. "What are you talking about?" Darius reached into his pocket and pulled out her bank cards. "You handed over everything to me, remember? Your paycheck, your savings, even your emergency fund. I locked you out of the accounts, changed the access. Everything's in my name now." Amma's knees felt weak as panic surged through her. You can't do this," she stammered. "I can, and I have," Darius said, his voice cold. "You gave me control, Amma, and now you want to throw me out? Go ahead, try. I'll use every last cedi in your accounts before you can do anything about it. I'll leave you with nothing." Her chest tightened as the weight of his words sank in. She thought about Easy, about the life she had built brick by brick, and now it all hung by a thread. "Why are you doing this?" she whispered, tears welling in her eyes. Darius stood, towering over her. "Because you wanted a man in this house, Amma, and now everything here belongs to me. If you even think about trying to take back what's mine, you'll regret it." Amma's fury dissolved into fear. She thought about the rent that was due, the groceries she needed to buy, and Isi's school fees. Without access to her funds, how could she provide for her daughter? The realization paralyzed her. Against her better judgment, she decided to endure her new reality, at least until she could figure out a way to fix it. For days, Amma bore the unbearable weight of Darius's presence. She cooked for him, cleaned up after him, and stayed silent as he flaunted his power. She was terrified of losing everything she had worked so hard to build, but her fear began to twist into a smoldering rage, especially as she watched Isi retreat into herself. The little girl, once so full of life, now avoided Darius entirely, her joy replaced with quiet unease. One evening, Amma returned home from work earlier than usual. The moment she stepped inside, she heard shouting coming from Isi's room. Her heart raced as she dropped her bag and ran toward the sound. "Are you stupid?" Darius's voice thundered from behind the door. "Look at the mess you've made!" Amma burst into the room to find Darius standing over Isi, who was cowering in a corner, tears streaming down her face. A small puddle of spilled juice glistened on the floor between them. "What are you doing?" Amma yelled, rushing to shield Essie. "She's useless," Darius snapped, his face twisted with rage. "She's just like you, always making a mess and expecting me to clean it up." Amma's body shook with anger as she held Essie tightly. "Get out of this room, now." Darius laughed bitterly. "I'm not going anywhere. This is my house." Amma stood her ground, her voice steady despite the fear swirling inside her. "Not anymore." Without another word, she grabbed her phone and dialed the police. The officers arrived quickly, and Amma explained everything. Darius's threats, his refusal to leave, and the incident with Isi. Darius's bravado faltered when he saw the police at the door, but he tried to play it off. "This is a family matter," he said, flashing a charming smile. "There's no need for police involvement." But Amma was done protecting him. "He's taken over my bank accounts, locked me out of my savings, and threatened to leave me with nothing," she told the officers. "And he's been terrorizing my daughter." The police didn't hesitate. They placed Darius in handcuffs, but as they were leading him out, one of the officers glanced at his ID and paused. "Wait," the officer said. "We've been looking for this man." Amma's heart raced. "What do you mean?" The officer explained. "Darius has been swindling women across the region. He gains their trust, takes over their finances, and leaves them with nothing. He's been on our radar for months." Amma felt a wave of relief and disbelief. The man who had once promised her love and security was nothing more than a con artist. As the police escorted Darius out of her home, his threats and insults echoed in the air, but Amma felt lighter than she had in weeks. In the days that followed, the police helped Amma restore her stolen accounts. Though the process was slow, Amma's relief grew with every step. Darius was detained for an extended period, pending trial for his crimes, and Amma was assured that he would no longer be a threat to her or Isi. One evening, as Amma sat with Isi on the couch, she pulled her daughter into her arms. "I'm so sorry, baby," she said softly. "I should have protected you sooner. I made a mistake, but I promise I'll never let anyone hurt us again." Essie looked up at her with wide, tear-filled eyes. "Mama, I don't want anyone else to live with us." Amma kissed her forehead. "I don't either. It's just us now, and that's enough." As they sat together, Amma reflected on everything she had endured. She vowed never to let anyone take advantage of her kindness again. She would teach Essie to value herself, to never settle for less than she deserved. This experience, though painful, had strengthened their bond and reminded Amma of her own resilience. Together, they began to rebuild their lives, just the two of them, moving forward with love, strength, and an unbreakable determination to protect what truly mattered. That's it for this video. If you enjoyed it, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more content. Drop your thoughts or questions in the comments section below. We love hearing from you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.